Maneva na sema PENDREAM TV. PENDREAM TV de osia dem yopo.
Right, Honorable Speaker, I think that let us be clear. I did not just rise on my own. The Speaker of the House asked a specific question, and Honorable Minority Leader, Honorable Minority Leader, I'm a member of this House, and I have maximum respect for leadership. So playing to the gallery with some of the comments you made are very unfortunate. But let's be clear, I did not rise to object to government business. The Speaker of the House, and sometimes when you're in the chair, you should pay attention to business in the House. The Speaker in the chair asked the question, anybody with an objection? So I didn't rise on my own. I rose in response to the question the Speaker asked. I caught his eye and he gave me the floor. So I didn't just rise on my own. So it's important that we set the record straight. It's going into the Hansard. There are people you play to the gallery with. We have our banter when we have to. But when it's on the record is the record. And so if you're asking me to withdraw what? Are you asking the Speaker to withdraw his question if there was anybody in opposition? The Speaker asked that question and I rose on it. And let us state for the fact that your people have asked questions. For those of you who have just come to Parliament and haven't paid attention to even the orientation, you make the noise. But you see, no. First timers who didn't pay attention. Mr. Speaker.
Honorable Minister responsible for communication.
Yes, Mr. Speaker.
If the questions are not taken, you wouldn't be able to come back and answer them.
Mr. Speaker, the very individuals who asked the questions, I said the questions have been invited to answer, for which I've sat in the chamber for 2.5 hours, are time bound. The individuals who have even filed the question are not in the chamber. And so I'm saying to you that, Mr. Speaker,
all you need to do is to wait when it gets to the time and we call the question. And the individuals are not here to ask the question, then whoever is presiding at that material moment will give the necessary direction. Minister for Communication.
No, Mr. Speaker, what statement is he referring to? He has to be specific on what statement he's referring to. The leader must be specific. I said a number of things.
Mr. Speaker. The minister must know that we accord him respect because he's our minister. He must accord leadership the same respect. Speaker, government business is called by the leadership of the House. So, Honorable Minister, please, you are a minister of state. Please, kindly withdraw those statements you made earlier by way of objection to the application made by the majority chief. That is what I'm saying. That you should withdraw those statements because you rose on your feet to oppose the application with the explanation that you've been sitting here for 2.5 hours.
That is what happened. But I'm not also comfortable of the statement that if the questions are not handled for today, you will not be able to come back and answer the questions. I believe that is what the minority leader is asking you to withdraw. So just do the honorable thing and let's make progress. This is not anything.
Mr. Speaker, I have the greatest respect for you.
Very well.
And the reason why I made that statement is because there are other obligations. And I worked with the table office to schedule today. And that's why I'm drawing the attention of the House. Because, Mr. Speaker, the minority leader will be the same person to stand up and say, ministers are avoiding coming to the House. And that's why I'm making this statement, so that it is not said that when you reschedule, and based on other trial commitments, I'm unable to honor.
Honorable Minister for Communication,
so,
just
Mr.
take
Speaker,
a cue.
I take a cue from you, and I'm guided. Thank you.
Honorable members, with all due respect, the statement by the Minister for Communication to the effect that if the questions are not answered, he won't come back to the House to answer the questions are accordingly ordered to be expunged from our record as if it does not exist. Yes.
Mr. Speaker, a moment ago, the Honorable Minister made a statement to the effect that me urging upon him to withdraw a rather unfortunate statement amounted to playing to the gallery. He went on further to use his left hand to point at some colleagues at the back bench, claiming that they have just come and they should go and learn the rules. Mr. Speaker, Honorable Sam George indeed is a colleague member of Parliament. But he knows, and I know, that once you become a minister of state, you hold an elevated position. And no matter what, all of us must accord that rank the needed respect. I find what he just directed at my backbench unfortunate. With the left hand, Honorable Minister. Honorable Minister, there is a good reason why you have a front bench. That in all difficulties and dangers, as you see them, you engage so that we all resolve. Even if they were wrong, you are a minister of state. Two wrongs, even if you saw anything wrong, you don't use your left hand to attack a colleague in the chamber. That's exactly what you did. Mr. Speaker, anyway, that thing that we cherish melts, and it melts with time. I rest my case.
As the House is constituted into a committee of the whole.
We know that the finance minister is an acting defense minister. He should find time to brief this House. People have left their families, they are on peacekeeping, and they are being bombarded. They don't know about their safety. And an important national issue, this government has not found space to address Parliament. So it remains a social media matter. Mr. Speaker, it must not continue like this. The Minister of Defense must be programmed to come and brief us about the situation of Ghanaian soldiers on peacekeeping in Lebanon. It's very, very important. He does that with all the agency. We can't allow that to be another gallery talk. Mr. Speaker, that said, I would want the majority chief whip to come and respond to some of these issues so that I take him to the next round of issues. Thank you so much.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to respond to some concerns raised by members. But Speaker, I'll be guided within the terms of Order 216 of our standing orders in responding to the issues raised. That is issues that pertains to the content of the business statements I presented to the House. Speaker, in doing so, let me touch on the issue raised by Professor Kingsley Nyako. We're all concerned regarding the presence of members when it's time for us to commence business. Ever often, Speaker is ready. Speaker gets ready by 11:30. If sitting is adjourned to commence at midday, Speaker often is ready by 11:30. It is us members whose unavailability makes it difficult for him to start exactly at 12. Anytime meeting is adjourned to 2 p.m., by 1:30, Speaker is ready to hold conclave. Again, it's our numbers that prevent him from starting exactly at 2. So So, colleagues, this goes to us. If we are ready at 12, Speaker will start exactly at 12. If we are ready at 2, Speaker will start at 2. So let's consider this. Then 2. His question in respect of the guidelines for the statements, that we should rather move away from limiting the length of the statement to 2 pages to dealing with word count and also the font size. Well, it's a suggestion that business committee will consider, Mr. Speaker. We'll look at it. Then the Honorable Asafo-Adjei also joined him in speaking about the limitations that the guidelines imposes, and therefore also proposes that we should look at the font size. That will be looked at. Then, of course, Charles Forson also joined him. So it's all about whether we should rely on word count to measure the length of the statement, or we should limit it to number of pages. So that will be considered. Then Dr. Boakun also is about word count. So that's about it. Susu, again, Dr. Susu also joined them. Now, the second deputy minority whip is requesting that the president be invited, no, the foreign minister be invited to speak to some foreign travels by the president. Speaker, I'm unable to respond positively to that because it's not an issue that business committee considered. In any case, we have already provided for ministers to come and make statements. So if this is the sense of the House, I believe that will be accommodated by that provision. Mr. Speaker, again, the Honorable Jerry Shaib speaks of some promise by the supposed promise by the foreign minister to build airports. I don't think that any such promise was given. So I am unable to speak to that positively, that he promised to build airports in every regional capital. I don't recall that. So, Speaker, that's about that. Then he made a suggestion that whether the security services will refund monies paid by applicants who have applied to be recruited into the security services as part of the ongoing recruitment exercise. I believe that it's a suggestion that somebody made, but as this House, I don't see how this House can give that directive. So that's a matter for the minister to consider. Not the minister, but the security agencies to consider or otherwise. Speaker, now the minority leader comes in with a plethora of issues that have no relationship at all with the content of the business statement. These are Friday politics, Speaker, and therefore I'm unable to speak to them, except to say that where he's making a request for the ministers to come brief the House, that has already been adequately catered for. And so within the ensuing week, we may make provision for ministers to come brief the House on matters that the House finds pertinent and important to be briefed on. Speaker, save that it's a matter of record that the Public Utilities Regulatory Commission has announced a reduction in utilities from the first day of April 2026. I'm also not aware that utilities have been increased. Any announcement have been given by the utility providers. Speaker, on this note, Mr. Speaker, I believe that I have responded adequately to all the issues raised that had some relationship with the business statement as presented. Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity.
Yes, but Honorable Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, the very last issue. Yes, I got your communication. Mr. Speaker, Pre-Tertiary Teachers Association of Ghana this week expressed a concern over delays in placing teachers recruited since 2023 September and 2024 on national scale salary, leaving some owing as much as 10 to 14 months of arrears. Mr. Speaker, according to the Pre-Tech President, King Ali Awudu, he questioned why teachers have not received clear payment plan, unlike nurses recruited during the same period. And he also rejected claims that teachers lacked financial clearance, stating that approval existed and has since been renewed. Meanwhile, GES, Mr. Speaker, has warned teachers against picketing during working hours and advised them to use official channels to address their concerns. Mr. Speaker, I am happy seeing my big brother, the Honorable Minister of Education. I'm happy seeing him in the chamber. I think this is an opportune time for the Majority Leader to program him to fully brief us on this situation. Mr. Speaker, you cannot use administrative fiat to deny somebody his constitutional bona fides. That right to demonstrate, to picket, is being denied teachers. Mr. Speaker, that you are issuing threats when you are not there. The Director General of GS, he's forgotten you yourself. You are a lawyer, and you would embrace in your practice. You practice in the area of human rights, and a constitutional bona fide is being denied. Mr. Speaker, this is unacceptable, and the minister would have to come and brief us on this matter. Mr. Speaker, on the issue of the nurses, if they are getting a better treatment by way of their arrears, why can't you do the same for teachers? And Mr. Speaker, the minister is only telling the media that as for him, he is there. If he is there, he doesn't have a problem. The problem is the finance minister. You need to reconcile. You sit with him at cabinet. Now you have just come. We will spare you. We will not put too much pressure on you. But Honorable Minister, the teachers need clearance. Put pressure on the finance minister. He's your junior brother. Tell him to approve for you to recruit. It's not enough to tell the media that it's not your responsibility. That's unacceptable, Honorable Minister of Education. I'm sorry, today is your first day at work, but we need to do our job. The teachers are suffering. Yes, of course, we all know the situation, and we wish him well. He's our brother. Mr. Speaker, we need the teachers to be employed. They need to be recruited. Is it a sin to train as a teacher? Didn't you promise employment? And then all that the minister says is that the finance minister has not given clearance. You sit in cabinet with him, talk to him, and engage him, and get him to give you clearance. Instead of you people paying attention to the critical issues in the economy, you are fighting over who will succeed President Mahama.
All members, the business statement as presented is hereby adopted. Yes, majority. Chief Whip. Any indication? Yeah.
Speaker, may we take no. May I pray for the variation of order of business to take motion number 47, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker. Sorry.
Minority, motion number 47.
Speaker, we have no objection.
Yes, Minister for Education, motion number 47.
Mr. Speaker, let me thank you for the opportunity. Mr. Speaker, with your indulgence and that of honorable members, I beg to move that the Education Regulatory Bodies Amendment Bill 2026 be now read a second time. And Mr. Speaker, in doing so, to draw attention to the fact that Act 1023 made charter compulsory for private universities in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, in the past, historically under the erstwhile National Accreditation Board, charter has never been compulsory. It's always been optional. Mr. Speaker, government recognizing the contribution of private tertiary institutions in the country, numbering over 79, have made significant contribution to the provision of higher education in Ghana and quality education across the country. Mr. Speaker, forcing all these institutions to charter, as it appears in the current GTED Act, Act 1023, may lead to the collapse of some 79 private institutions who do not have the capacity to stand on their own, as affirmed by the Ghana Tertiary Education Commission. Mr. Speaker, that probably can even increase our current unemployment situation and become a disincentive for Ghanaians who want to contribute to the development of the country by investing in the provision of quality tertiary education at the private level. Mr. Speaker, let me assure this House that, as the President observed in his State of the Nation address, the intent of this is to make charter optional in Ghana. So if an institution subject to mentoring thinks that they have satisfied the requirement and can bid on their own, they may request to be chartered, which will allow them to award their own degrees and diplomas and other related qualifications. Now, Speaker, from institutional and program accreditation undertaken by GTEC, academic audit is a significant part of what GTEC does, in addition to quality assurance layer, which was removed by GTEC. When this charter is reintroduced to ensure the continuous quality assurance of all institutions who may not have chartered. Mr. Speaker, policy approval of programs that has been reserved for only public chartered institutions will now be extended to private institutions to ensure that their program introduced align with government policy objectives. Mr. Speaker, the government of Ghana recognizes private tertiary institutions providers as significant stakeholders and partners in enhancing access to quality higher education in Ghana. The tertiary education landscape in Ghana has significantly transformed over the past 3 decades with dynamic growth of private tertiary institutions. Mr. Speaker, we just didn't arrive at this. There was the Ansar Sari Committee report which made recommendations for us to decharter. And consequently, Mr. Speaker, we sought cabinet approval for the Education Regulatory Bodies Amendment Bill to be presented to Parliament to make charter optional. I so submit and urge honorable colleagues to support this amendment so that we can safeguard the investment that many other Ghanaians have made in the provision of tertiary education by way of private universities and investment in them. There are many Ghanaian students who otherwise, but for this opportunity, will not have been able to taste higher education. I so move, Mr. Speaker.
Members, motion heavily moved by the Minister for Education. Is now the time for the Chairman of Education Committee to present the committee's report. But before doing so, permit me to acknowledge the presence of visitors in our midst. We have Steve Hills International School, led by Sir Kenneth Odami. They are He's grade school coordinator. They are from Lower Manya, and they number 58. We also have students from Anglon Afenyo-Markin Basic School, led by Mr. Wosu Moses, a teacher. They are from Qatar, the number 59. We have Supreme Preparatory and Junior High School, led by Mr. Brian Saki, head teacher. They are from Anyasotum, the number 65. We also have Vision Academy, Obogu, led by Daniel Opong, a teacher. They are from Asante Achim South, the number 12. We have Holy Trinity Lutheran School, led by Kuzugbe Amavo, a teacher. They are from Mishaiso, the number 33. Then, honored members, I have the pleasure to introduce to you Honorable Senator Dr. Isaac Maigwa Mura, the government spokesperson of the Republic of Kenya, who is on 1 week working visit to Ghana. The distinguished Honorable Senator is a leading advocate for disability inclusion. He is in Ghana to interact with the Parliamentary Caucus on Disability, to exchange perspectives on inclusive governance, disability legislation, and regional collaborations. The visit also presents a unique opportunity to strengthen Ghana-Kenyan relations and deepen legislative dialogue on disability inclusion across Africa. The Honorable Senator is accompanied by Mr. Andrews Kwame Daklo, Advocacy Manager, African Albinism Network. Honorable members, on your behalf, I wish him a pleasant stay in the country and fruitful deliberations. Once again, Honorable Senator, you are welcome. Now, Chairman of the committee, you may present the committee's report.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, in presenting the report of the committee, I want to state that the Minister has outlined many of the issues we want to present, and that I will only take the introduction and then the conclusion, and urge that the House adopts the report of the committee. Mr. Speaker, the object of the bill is to amend the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020, Act 1023, to dispense with the requirement of affiliated institutions to meet the 6-year requirement to obtain a charter. Mr. Speaker, the committee, in its observations, looked at the institutional charter, autonomy and quality assurance, the impending chartering deadline under Act 1023, financial sustainability and institutional viability, the principle of regulatory flexibility, representation of public and private universities on GTech board, and Mr. Speaker, in conclusion, the committee, having carefully considered the Education Regulatory Bodies Amendment Bill 2026, is of the view that the proposed amendments strike an appropriate balance between the legitimate interests of the state in ensuring quality tertiary education and the practical realities facing private institutions. The bill preserves the integrity of the regulatory framework while introducing the flexibility necessary for institutional survival and growth. In this regard, the committee recommends to the House to adopt its report and pass the Education Regulatory Bodies Amendment Bill 2026 in accordance with Article 106 of the 1992 Constitution. Respectively submitted, Mr. Speaker.
Honorable members, motion move, report of the committee presented, pursuant to Standing Order 127, a full debate shall arise on the principles of the bill on the basis of the explanatory memorandum and the report of the committee. The floor is now open. Our members, in the absence of anybody to contribute to the report, I'll put a question. Yes.
Thank you, Mr. Speaker. When your committee met in considering the amendment to Act 1023, which had imposed a 4-year limit on an institution to be affiliated to a mentor, then additional 2 years within which one has to be chartered. We had the opportunity to meet the owners of private tertiary institutions in the country, and we realized that sometimes some of the students attend such private institutions which is within their proximity, and with the quest that they will obtain a degree or a certificate which is affiliated with one of the traditional long-standing universities like Legon, KNUST, and the rest, and UCC. It's good for you. But many a time they get to finish, and if they have to acquire a certificate of that particular private institution, they don't like it. It will tend to reduce their number of students or their enrollment numbers. And as such, the private owners believe that they are trying to support government to increase the tertiary enrollment ratio, which we call the gross tertiary enrollment ratio. And as such, to support, they will want to remain until a time that they think they are fully ready to be chartered, and also don't want to be burdened with the issue of having to compete within these times for the number of students, because we realize that some of the institutions, some of the public institutions have open campuses around their location. And Mr. Speaker, the committee realized that the Act 1023 has been 5 years, and we have learned some lessons. And in legislation, we want to legislate to improve on your system. And so we agreed to their request to charter as when and how they want, but also recognizing that we don't want to downplay quality and standards, and as such the role of GTech will still be enforced, and we will also follow up to make sure that they don't bring down quality in our tertiary education. Mr. Speaker, with this, I believe this amendment is something that we have to support. But more forward, we asked the Ministry of Education that there are other agencies within the Education Regulatory Bodies Act that we also have to amend, especially with reference to the National Teaching Council, where some of the provisions within this act had asked that certain time examinations should be conducted, but now it has been improved, or it has been amended. So we ask that going forward, the minister should come so we can have a thorough review of Act 1023 to improve on education in this country. Mr. Speaker, with these few words, I support the amendment.
Yes, Honorable Kinsiniako.
Mr. Speaker, I'm grateful for the honor to add my voice to the amendment of Act 1023, 2026. Mr. Speaker, some years back, there was nothing like compulsory charter. When a private tertiary education institution reaches or is ready to obtain a charter, Then they go through a process after operating for at least 10 years. Then in 2020, Act 1023 was passed and became mandatory. And there's nowhere in the world where we have mandatory charter. There's nowhere. In fact, in some institutions, they have what we call listed institutions. So the idea to revert to optional chartering is the best way to go. I wanted the opportunity to applaud the Education Committee, Education Ministry headed by Honorable Haruna Adusu, for taking the bold step to ensure that we give institutions the opportunity of flexibility and not also undermining quality. Quality assurance is an ongoing process. Even though we are going through the optional angle, I would urge the GTEC to ensure that they do their job effectively and upholding the tenets of quality assurance. On that score, Mr. Speaker, I support the bill, and I'm hopeful that we'll do it expeditiously for these institutions to operate within the new arrangement. On that score, I want to thank you for indulging me. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, you have the floor. Honourable member.
Thank you very much, Mr. Speaker. Mr. Speaker, I wish to also join my colleagues in calling on members to support the call by the minister to support the amendment being proposed to the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 1023. Mr. Speaker, over the years, private universities have played a key role in the development of the nation. Mr. Speaker, private universities have helped to expand access to tertiary education. Mr. Speaker, private universities have contributed significantly to the human capital development of the nation. And lastly, Mr. Speaker, we all know the financial burden that the state carries in an attempt to provide tertiary education, and then private universities come in handy in this regard. Mr. Speaker, with the current act, private universities are given the requirement to, within 6 years after the passage of the act, and the act was passed in 2020, to charter. Mr. Speaker, to charter means that these private universities, even though they are under mentorship, it means that once the 6-year period is due, they are supposed to fulfill certain requirements and be able to now award their own degrees and be fully functional universities. Mr. Speaker, it's been very difficult for some of these universities, and when we met them, Mr. Speaker, the universities expressed serious challenges in meeting some of these requirements. And given that, Mr. Speaker, we only have up to August of this year for all these private universities to be able to meet this requirement, it's obvious that there is a bigger challenge ahead. Mr. Speaker, as legislators, our duty is to make sure that we remove all forms of hurdles and hindrances in the way our institutions function. And so this call to amend the Education Regulatory Bodies Act to provide for optional chartering, so that if an institution decides to charter, then it goes ahead and then gets chartered. And Mr. Speaker, 2 requirements are needed when you are to charter under the current act: that you need to marshal substantial financial reserves, and 2, Mr. Speaker, you need to show proof of the existence of fiscal structures before you can even be granted the license to charter. Mr. Speaker, it's obvious that our private universities are already paying huge fees to their mentor institutions by way of affiliation fees, and so they are going to find it difficult to meet this substantial financial reserve which is required of them. And so, Speaker, I believe that this call for us to amend this act is a call in the right direction. And the last words that were given by the minister to these private universities when we met them was that this measure should not be a way of compromising on the provision of quality tertiary education. And I believe that, Mr. Speaker, the private universities have listened to the minister, and that this amendment will only help to enhance the provision of private tertiary education. Thank you, Mr. Speaker.
Honourable members, at the conclusion of the debate, the question is, as many as are in favour of the motion say aye. Aye. Those against say no. Honourable members, the ayes have it. The motion is adopted.
An act to amend the Education Regulatory Bodies Act 2020 at 1023 to dispense with the requirements of affiliated institutions, to meet the 6-year requirement, to obtain a charter, and provide for related matters.
Honourable members, the Education Regulatory Bodies Amendment Bill 2026 is duly read for a second time. Yes.
Speaker, may I pray that we come back to item number 9 to lay a couple of papers there. Speaker, specifically, I want to lay items numbers 9A and 9C. Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Leader. That's the application. Very well. Item numbered 9, at commencement of public business presentation of papers. 9A.
Proposed formula for the distributing the District Assembly's Common Fund, DACF, for the year 2026.
Honourable members, the proposed formula for distribution of the District Assembly's Common Fund for the year 2026 is duly presented and referred to the Committee of the Whole. Yes.
Speaker, item number 9C. Mr. Speaker, the chairman is unavoidably absent. So may I pray that I do this on his behalf, Mr. Speaker?
Yes, Minority Leader. It's an application too.
Speaker, if the majority leader wants to lay it, it's fine.
Yes, Majority Leader.
Report of the Committee of the Whole on the proposed formula.
No, item numbered 9C.
Report of the Committee on Defense and Interior on the Community Service Bill 2020.
Honourable members, the report has been duly presented and it is for distribution to the members of the House. Yes?
Speaker, may I pray that we take the other paper addendum to take the item listed. That's presentation of papers, Mr. Speaker. The Growth and Sustainability Levy Amendment Bill 2026, Mr. Speaker.
Yes, Minority Leader.
Mr. Speaker, I don't know why the Majority Chief Whip wants to change the atmosphere in this chamber. Mr. Speaker, at conclave, when we discussed this matter, the understanding was that there would have to be proper briefing. Mr. Speaker, the last time, Right Honourable Speaker indicated that some of these important matters must be discussed thoroughly by leadership. Mr. Speaker himself is not around. And
Honourable Minority Leader, I will plead that you don't bring the Speaker in.
Yes, Mr. Speaker, that's fine. It's okay. Mr. Speaker, the understanding was we would discuss this matter. No, it's not about just laying. Mr. Speaker, let's be careful how we conduct government business in this chamber. Let's be careful how we conduct government business. We agree to proceed according to this order paper. Then from nowhere, an addendum is printed and we are told that a certain paper is to be laid. Mr. Speaker, let's not do this to ourselves. Let's allow the right things to be done. Mr. Speaker, with respect, Chief Whip, I will plead with you. There are other matters to be considered. Let us proceed with those ones. Don't introduce controversy here. There was no agreement on this at conclave. Don't introduce controversy. If you want to introduce controversy, then we'll take you to the law, because you are not even up to 40. You are not even up to 40. So don't attempt. Don't. A silver lining has been given you. Take advantage of it and do the right thing.
Mr. Speaker, first of all, this is not a surprise. I am not springing a surprise on the minority leader or the minority side in this matter. This matter came up at conclave, and the concern was that we needed to engage to have it laid. And we had engagement, Mr. Speaker. Indeed, this was produced at conclave, but the suggestion on the floor now that I'm springing a surprise on him is absolutely incorrect. We had discussed this. This was produced at conclave. So don't suggest that this emerged from nowhere. It was discussed. You had reservations. Your reservations have been assuaged. So we are only laying this, Mr. Speaker. In any case, it is to reduce taxes. How can this be a problem? How can this be a problem for you, the minority leader? When your concern is that there are too many taxes and want to reduce it. How can this bother you, minority leader? When you are suddenly, just a while ago, fighting that the young people should be given opportunity. So we want to lessen their burden. So please, go with me and let's lay this. I thank you.
Mr. Speaker, I will not fall into any blackmail traps. And I can't be blackmailed into this. Mr. Speaker, the matter was raised, discussed, and we didn't reach an agreement. The understanding I had from the majority bench through its leadership was that this matter will be placed on ice for us to have a proper briefing on it by the minister himself. Mr. Speaker, what he doesn't know is that under the new Minerals and Mining Royalties Regulation, Mr. Speaker, there is this upscaling regime that the country is introducing. His administration is introducing an upscaling regime. Mr. Speaker, if you read this whole document and you think you are bringing this to mitigate it, this document will not mitigate the harm you are going to cause. And you see, honorable colleagues in the majority, stop this rush work, and let us take our time. Mr. Speaker, let us take our time and do the right thing. Mr. Speaker, I don't want to proceed further. Let us suspend discussion on this and further engage. There are matters, Mr. Speaker, there are matters that are critical and tangential. It's not just about this. So don't blackmail me. I am against taxes. I am for tax rebates. I am for tax waivers. I am for reduced taxes. I am for it because I'm a private sector person. If there are no taxes, if we have low taxes, businesses are able to expand. Businesses reinvest. But Mr. Speaker, when on the face of it, you are creating the impression that you are reducing taxes, but I know that at the base of it, the situation is worse. I won't be blackmailed. That regulation, the upscaling regime you've introduced, if you compare, it's a very serious matter. And I believe that the right thing to do is for the minister himself to come into the chamber, meet with leadership, engage extensively. Your government, I don't want to say you have gained notoriety for not engaging. You don't consult stakeholders. You only get into the situation and embarrass yourself. You remember the lithium agreement. You came to lay it, defended it, and when the CSO started punching holes, you came to this house to withdraw. Don't be doing that to yourselves. Mr. Speaker, we have the mining firms raising serious concerns, and this is not the time for you to come and say that you are laying this paper to reduce taxes.
Minority Leader, with all due respect, at this particular moment, the bill is not before the House. So why are we placing issues on record in view of the fact that the bill is not yet introduced?
Yeah, Mr. Speaker, I appreciate where you are coming from technically. But Mr. Speaker, this is a house of rules and precedents. Mr. Speaker, the precedence is that these things receive prior engagement. You've been minority leader before, Honorable Education Minister. It's not just the law, but precedence and practice. You know that? So don't shut my mouth by using a law to gag me. I don't only depend on the law, I also depend on practice and convention. Mr. Speaker, it is true that the bill is yet to be laid. I agree. But what you are doing is to introduce the subject matter. And I'm saying that at conclave, the majority chief whip knows that there was no consensus on this. We discussed it and we said we would engage further, that he should bring his boss for us to have further discussion before. So why do you want to lay it? Why do you want to spring a surprise?
Mr. Speaker,
yes.
first of all, it's untenable for the minority leaders to suggest that the existence of a certain regulation will torpedo a substantive enactment. When this House decides, you suggested, you said so. You said that the introduction of this bill and its passage will not overturn the terms of a regulation in place. That's what you said. But you know, you are my mate, you know that in the hierarchy of laws, an enactment supersedes the terms of a regulation. So you are on a journey to nowhere. Once this House decides that will pass this law, the terms of that regulation, whatever it is, becomes subservient and of no effect, especially when the enactment is superior to the terms of that regulation. So that's one. Two, there was a discussion. There was a discussion about this matter. And the fact that you said no did not outnumber the number of us at conclave. We agreed. Yes, we agreed that we'll do this. You had reservations. And so we'll lay this and then we can engage. But to suggest that because you merely said no and therefore the paper cannot be laid is with all due respect to you, untenable. Let us lay this. You are preparing to take me on, but we cannot do this ding dong. Let's allow the bill to be laid, and then we can further engage if indeed you think that we should engage. But finally, Mr. Speaker, how does a bill that seeks to reduce tax, be a bother to you, the minority leader? You should be happy and be praising government that we are a listening government. In any case, Mr. Speaker, when he was here as majority leader, you withdrew as many as 16 instruments that you got here. You have the data. So withdrawing one single lithium agreement does not injure the reputation of this government. So sometimes I don't do these things on Fridays. On this note, Mr. Speaker, let's lay the paper in the weekend.
Yes, minority leader.
Mr. Speaker, to don't initiate this submission will be impressive. But I am seized with the fact, and he knows that in the list, my law is not rusty. He knows that. Mr. Speaker, so he cannot seek to confuse us with a certain jurisprudence of his own, claiming that there is a substantive law coming, and then Director General be addressing press and saying things that, Mr. Speaker, are supposed to be properly put. Mr. Speaker, doctors have been raising concerns about the rise in hernia cases in Ghana. Mr. Speaker, Dr. Godfred Owusu Ankasa, Methodist Faith Hospital, has warned, Mr. Speaker, has warned about the rising cases of inguinal hernia in Ghana, stressing that delayed treatment often leads to complications. Mr. Speaker, the Methodist Health Trust has treated over 800 patients across Ankansa, Aburoso, and Apeja. The nurse manager, Mr. Speaker, Gloria Ejewa Oseboatin, also urged people to seek proper medical care and called on the National Health Insurance Scheme to subsidize hernia treatment. Mr. Speaker, the issue here is subsidizing the treatment. Mr. Speaker, we have heard of the new health fund that was the Ghana Medical Trust Fund, which was scooped out of the health insurance scheme. Mr. Speaker, can the Minister of Health be programmed to come and address this important matter as to whether or not this can also be added to the Ghana Health Fund? Mr. Speaker, it is very important because, Mr. Speaker, there are matters that we may consider trivial, but somebody in the village who has this condition and does not have the means, Mr. Speaker, the thing is that it's not everything that the health insurance covers. And this is one important thing that, Mr. Speaker, we need the ministerial briefing on. Mr. Speaker, so the Chief Whip, who is now standing in for the majority leader, should take note and program the health minister to come. Mr. Speaker, the next issue is that, Mr. Speaker, MPA has given an indication of increase in price of fuel for March 16 window. Petrol now is 11 cedi 57 pesos. Diesel is pegged at 14 cedi 35 pesos. Mr. Speaker, we are being told that because of happenings in faraway Iran, the president said so. Mr. Speaker, Mr. President said the happenings in Iran will affect Ghana. Since when did you change your mind? Mr. Speaker, he said he has instructed the Energy and Finance Minister to monitor the situation for certain adjustment to be made. According to the President, Ghana has sufficient buffers. Let us see evidence of that. If indeed we have sufficient buffers, we don't expect any increase in fuel prices. Government must subsidize, because in Akufo-Addo's era, you said Ukraine, Russia should not have any effect. You said it's 7,000 kilometers away. The bombs are not being thrown in Ghana. So, Mr. Speaker, we don't expect anything less. Already, you have increased electricity tariffs by almost 30%. People, Ghanaians, are suffering. This recruitment also is also another issue. You sold forms to 506,000 when you know that you have only vacancy for 5,000 people. You sold forms to 506,000 when you know that you have vacancy for 5,000. Then, apart from the 220 Ghana cedi per form, you are now going to charge them 1,600 for medicals. So, Mr. Speaker, so those who qualify for medicals, they go and do medicals. So you have about 200,000 going for medicals. When you know that even if all of them pass, you have vacancy for 5,000. Mr. Speaker, if 200,000, what is that? If 100,000 have even qualified for medicals, you know you have only 5,000. So you are going to get 160 million from the poor Ghanaian youth.
You have taken 113 million.
1,600 cedis, transportation not included. That is the fee. Meanwhile, you know that the person will not have access. Why do you do this? If all of them, even if 50% of them pass, even if 50% of them pass, that is 50,000. Yet you have only 5,000 vacancy. 5,000. And you are going to take 6,600 from each of them. Mr. Speaker, I do not think that this is the right approach. We've been told the minister will brief us, but the minister is here to brief us. Mr. Speaker, can the recruitment exercise be suspended so that these things are properly ironed out? Because the system that has been introduced, Mr. Speaker, for want of a better word, is duping the youth. The students, the youth are being duped. It's like a scam. How can you go to an IT, a so-called AI platform? You want to go to immigration, then it asks you what is the size of a basketball court. AI, as I know, must be programmed, must be internalized, so that the particular purpose is achieved. You cannot be generic in the use of AI. You won't get the desired result. My colleague Sam George is here. He's an IT expert. He knows that area more than I do. If you want to use AI to guide the process, you put in the proper inputs. You don't generalize it and say, ask, what's the size of a basketball court? And you want to go to police or immigration? Mr. Speaker, no. The people are already poor. They are unemployed. And Mr. Speaker, to conclude on this matter, as political leaders and colleagues, this is not MPP NDC, but it's a threat to our democracy. If 506,000 people have actually bought forms, then political leaders, let's be careful. If 500,000 youths are unemployed and they bought forms with the expectation of getting access, then let's be careful. Because 50,000 alone on the streets we can't contain. Let us begin to use this as a trigger, as an early warning, to formulate policies that would help transform the country and stop the usual partisan politics. Government must come up with programs that will create jobs. We on this side are ready to help you, but you must help yourselves. We don't want social media ministers. We want ministers who will commit to introducing policies and implementing them with the aim of creating jobs. What we have seen, the 506,000, is a security threat to democracy if we have not paid attention. It's a serious security threat. 500,000. Mr. Speaker, I will conclude on a major concern about our cocoa farmers. The majority leader 3 weeks ago, Mr. Speaker, the majority leader 3 weeks ago promised this House that the minister will come and brief this House on the cocoa situation. Mr. Speaker, farmers continue to suffer because of this haircut. The minister sat in his ministry to address the press, did not tell us the market volatility, the effects on the farmers, and how much, if government was to subsidize, how much it was going to cost government. Mr. Speaker, we are already aware of the 7 billion losses at Gold Board, as reported by IMF. It's not opposition report. It's IMF saying that as at end of year, Gold Board transaction losses amounted to 7 billion cedis. We should be concerned. We should be concerned. That is what IMF is saying. So, Mr. Speaker, if we cannot address some of these things, then we are in difficulty. We are in a very serious situation. Mr. Speaker, our soldiers in Lebanon, we know that the finance minister is an acting defense minister. He should find time to brief this house. People have left their families, they are on peacekeeping, and they are being bombarded. They don't know about their safety. And an important national issue, this government has not found space to address Parliament. So it remains a social media matter. Mr. Speaker, it must not continue like this. The Minister of Defense must be programmed to come and brief us about the situation of Ghanaian soldiers on peacekeeping in Lebanon. It's very, very important. He does that with all the agency. We can't allow that to be another gallery talk. Mr. Speaker, that said, I would want the majority chief whip to come and respond to some of these issues so that I take him to the next round of issues. Thank you so much.
Speaker, I thank you for the opportunity to respond to some concerns raised by members. But, Speaker, I'll be guided within the terms of Order 216 of our standing orders in responding to the issues raised. That is issues that pertains to the content of the business statements I presented to the House. Speaker, in doing so, let me touch on the issue raised by Professor Kingsley Nyaku. We are all concerned regarding the presence of members when it's time for us to commence business. Ever often, Speaker is ready. Speaker gets ready by 11:30. If
PENDREAM TV now, so far so good. Say open online portal e Ghana. Nipa share, nipa follow, nipa comment here. To my best of knowledge, without any biases, PENDREAM TV.